G'day and welcome back to the channel. We are in week 3 of working back on race and fixing the front suspension. As you saw in the last video, we had a pretty catastrophic failure and I'm super glad it didn't happen on the Rolston Classic. If it had, I probably would have had to pull the arm out completely, pull the cone off, disconnect the trumpet as best I could, maybe swap it to the rear, put it back in and see if I could drive it. But I'm super glad that happened at home and not on the run. So Minisport came to the party and they sent me a new set of adjustable trumpets. So they turn out to be the RIPSPEED ones. They are one of the best ones you can possibly get. So it is steel. They are absolutely lathered in grease. So I'll just show you guys this. They're the same ones that I fitted on the 1275 suspension build. So yeah, look at the amount of grease that's in there. There's heaps. I'm gonna wind that all the way through, just loosen the nut off down here and then wind it all the way through. I'm gonna reapply a heap of grease inside there. That way it's gonna trap any dirt and debris that can possibly get in there, but also help to prevent anything going all the way through. Anything that does go all the way through, there is a little relief valve or a little hole, I guess, just in the side here. So the plan on this episode is to put the entire thing back together. The passenger side is going to be significantly easier simply because we have everything out at the moment. So it's going to be super easy. The spring compressor will sit in there. I'll just wind in the spring, put the trumpet in there, the ball joint. I have a new cup as well, which I'm pretty sure they sent. Yeah, so it is also an idea to replace the cups whenever you pull them out as well. So it's literally like $1, like maybe even less, maybe like 50 cents, depending where you live in the world. So like a quid, like it's literally nothing. So I would certainly recommend replacing these because they are going to wear just as much as the ball joint itself. So even if you're there, you're taking the ball joints out, you might as well replace them. Mine are completely fine. The boots on them are a little bit how's your father, but we're going to replace those anyway. So let's get to work. Let's start putting this thing back together and then attempt to do the driver's side. Now the driver's side is back together. So I'm really hoping that I can just put the spring compressor in there, tighten it up enough. Hopefully the cone will hold it up high enough where I can pull the trumpet out, replace the cup, re-grease the ball joint and slide the new adjuster back in. So fingers crossed this works. It's probably worthwhile noting as well that the lower this is, so if I screw that all the way in, it is going to be absolutely slammed on the ground, bro. We want to make sure that these things are adjusted correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to wind it down so it maybe has about 10 mil between the lock nut and the end stop just here. That way it'll give us a decent adjustment and it's not going to be super low. So you can buy specific tools to be able to adjust these. Worst case scenario, you just use a pair of multi-grips and maybe an adjustable spanner. If you got a 27 mil, I think it is, maybe even 26, you can use those, or even just machine down a couple of really cheap spanners just to be able to do this. These are only just locking nuts and you don't really need it to be super tight, so you don't have to be swinging off it with a 17-foot pole trying to make the adjustments. So we're going to set each side to exactly the same. I'll probably set it to about 10 mil. Some cars you can work out the ratio of how high this is as to how high it's going to give you as per the ride height. So I'm not sure what the ratio is. So if anyone knows, please let me know in the comments below. But if not, let's set these. Let's start putting this side back together and then we can attempt to do the driver's side. Alright, so here's Tomo's tech tip. When you're installing new Hi-Los or even just trumpets along with rubber cones, ensure that the trumpet is situated directly in the middle of the rubber cone where it sits up in the tower here. If it isn't, this arm is going to move around. It's not going to be 100% straight and it's going to be super difficult to get everything in. Once I'd repositioned it, I then had to move the cone up and down a little bit, loosen this bolt here so it became shorter, realigned it, put it all back in, and then reset the gap between the lock nut and the bolt here. So I've set this gap to 10 mil. All you need to do now is ensure that you grab a set of pliers, multi-rips or spanner, hold the bottom bolt and just nip up the top lock nut. We don't want to be tightening that one too much, we just want to be giving a little nip. That's it. Now we start putting it back together. Alright, so here's another one of the Tomo's tech tips. If, like me, you cannot get the bolt through the bottom shock bolt because the upper control arm sits lower than what the shock absorber does, that is under full travel. I can't get that bolt in whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is grab the jack. I'm going to line it up under the bottom ball joint. I'm going to lift it just up off there, just to compress the cone just a little bit, until it gets to the point where I'm able to fit the bolt in through the upper control arm. Alright, so I'm having just a little bit of problem just to be able to get the bolt in there. So all I'm going to do is just wedge my pry bar up in here, lever it down just a little bit, which will enable me to push the bolt all the way through. Then I can put the nut and the washers on the end. Alright, the passenger side is completely done. Now it's time to move on to the driver's side. Fingers crossed it goes together easier than what this side did. Do you know the reason why they call it a Mini? A Mini because it is small. It is low, it is close to the ground, and they handle like go-karts. I've just lowered the car down. As you can see, she's back on all fours, thank goodness. But we have an issue. I've measured the front ride height and it is at 360mm hub to guard on the driver's side and 350mm hub to guard on the passenger side. Let's just go have a closer look. Ta-da! Look at that Cali stance. That needs to be adjusted. Let's just grab the light and we'll go around here. We're just going to have a look at some of the other work on this side. Oh, would you look at that? Now, not only is it not low, but I can easily fit my hand in there between the rim, or between the tyre and the guard. So that looks like it needs to be readjusted. Let's make some adjustments and then try again. Here's Tomo's tech tip. Make sure that when you do the adjustments, you jack up the car and you loosen it with no weight on the suspension. Do not try and attempt to do this when it is on the ground. Alrighty, welcome back. Apologies for the noise as always. As you know, I don't have a lot of interior in my car, but I do have some sound deadening. So essentially, this is the first drive I've done since putting the new cones in and the Hi-Los at the front. I can immediately feel the difference in which it makes to the driving ability, even just driving on standard roads, like how much smoother it is. It's not as bumpy, it's not as stiff. Because I've got the adjustable shock absorbers as well, it enables me to dial in that suspension 110%. So if I want to do a track day, it'll be stiff. If I want to do just normal regular driving, I can soften it off a little bit. But even just the cornering ability as well, like given I've only gone around a roundabout so far, it's been pretty good. So like I've said on previous episodes, I'm really annoyed I didn't do this earlier. Having brand new suspension in the car just makes it feel and handle better. It's like any old car. The car's got 200,000 Ks on it. You bang some new suspension in it, new shocks, new springs, new set of bushers, and the car drives brand new. And that's exactly what you want. It's certainly a lot smoother on the front end. There's a lot less bouncing up and down. So I'd certainly recommend replacing the cones and having a good set of Hi-Los in there as well. The only issue that I have at the moment is that
I've wound the adjuster all the way up, so I've lowered the trumpet as much as I possibly can. But it appears that it's probably bottoming out internally. Now between the top of the trumpet and the rubber cone, the adjustment bolt is tapping out on there. And because of that, I'm not getting full compression of the spring, allowing it, sorry, full compression of the trumpet, allowing it to become even lower than standard. So at the front, I think I'm sitting around 320, 310 millimeters hub to guard. So that's standard ride height, which isn't bad, but I'm not going for the standard ride height look. Did a bit of quick research online and I found that I need to adjust the length of that bolt. So the adjustment bolt itself is too long. So what I need to do is probably shave off a couple of threads. I think from memory it needs to be about 30 mil shorter. So what I'll do is I'll do a quick video when I get to work, show you what I'm doing, take it out, cut it, put it back in, and then readjust the ride height. Yeah, even just the simplest of driving, like over the normal roads I'm always going on, it feels so much better, so much smoother. Alright, so as you can see, I am now at home. I got to work, I finished work, had a big day, and I went to go work on my car and then realized that I don't actually have the spring compression tool with me at work. I've only got it at home, which is in my garage, is here. So I pretty much went to pull everything apart, realized I didn't have a tool, came home, had to clean the house because we have a rental inspection soon. So what I'm going to do is save that for another episode, but it'll be a short one, so stay tuned guys. If you haven't already seen it, make sure you click the link above and we'll see you right here on another episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups. Alright, just quickly before we go, I want to run you through how big my shed actually is and some of the things we have in here. Alright, so we've got my oil drums that I dispose of all of my oil down in there. We have the press, which you've seen in previous episodes. I've got a spare tyre that I did for a friend. She needs to come pick it up. Got my engine here. Well, it's not mine, but it's the 1275 under that cover. Drain tin as well. Got a couple of little random tins just hanging around. If you guys don't already get on it, the Fit Dad Fuel or Fit Dad Lifestyle, you can click the link below and it will show you a discount code for anything that you need in regards to supplements. Got a bag of rags just down in here, just some random stuff, some sheets. Under this towel here is the 1275 front subframe, along with some spare parts that I bought for the Rolston Classic. If you haven't already, make sure you click the link and have a look. We've got another drain tin, so you can never have enough drain tins, especially when you own a Classic Mini. There's a heap of parts down below. We've got my MIG welder, some 20W60 Penrith HPR 30 engine oil. We have a new radiator and thermo fan for the 1275. A bunch of parts that I took with me on the Rolston Classic. In this box here we have all things to do with the 1275, including something really cool which I don't think I've shown you guys yet. So we have, ta-da, a Hoonigan gauge. Check this out. How friggin' sick is that? So oil pressure gauge made by Hoonigan. So the customer wanted exactly that. These are all my Ryobi tools. We got the inflator, deflator, a new tool that I bought the other day. It is the Ryobi grease gun. This thing works an absolute treat. As you can see, I do like my fan, so I've got a Ryobi fan here, and I've got a large one up there as well. Both of them are battery operated. I think even the big one is a hybrid, so you can use it for more than one thing. Got the high pressure washer, which is pretty good. The Ryobi radio, the 1/2-inch rattle gun. Up here we have all my bolts. Got a couple of bits of random bits and pieces at the moment. All of my consumables that I use, so Loctites, grease, petroleum jelly, the former gasket that I use as well, along with some copper paste, etc, etc. More Ryobi stuff up there. In that box is some parts that you'll be seeing soon. A Ryobi sprayer, so I use that for like weed killing and stuff. Obviously welding gloves. Up there we've got a time belt kit, which I need to do on my Hilux. We have some Tough Dog suspension that I need to put into the Hilux. We've got some tie down straps. If you don't already, make sure you grab some tie down straps. It's always good to have tie down straps just hanging out in your car, especially when you need to get it towed, because, you know, owning a Mini, you have to get it towed quite often. I have another Ryobi tool back here. That's what you use for fertilizing the lawn. Some oils and random containers. I do have a central locking kit which I need to fit to the Hilux for the tailgate. Obviously a jerry can there, a magnetic stubby cooler that I got from work, my 3 LED lights that I bought from Snap-on. I think, yeah, there we go. They are bright as hell. So they do full 360s, which is good. You can use them anywhere and everywhere, magnetic, which is really good. And they're just a USB-C charger port at the side. All of my not deodorizers, bloody WD-40s, degreasers, all that stuff. Roby polisher at the back here with some polishing pads. More stuff down below here. So I did have these labeled, but I think I got them around the wrong way. This is all like my detailing stuff and paints and stuff down in there. More mini parts. This is my ring of death. That's what I use for filming, so that's why I get some light in funny angles. Got my Roby leaf blower, my charger going at the moment. So my memorabilia on the wall, I'll just get rid of that so you can see. So Nylon sign, that's an Australian company that makes engine oil. Obviously Johnny Walker, some Snap-on stuff. That's my old number plate from my Mini before I converted over to conditional plates. Obviously a picture of my Mini that my wife got me, bless her. This was my very first toolbox that I bought, or I think it was gifted to me actually for a Christmas present, probably 20 years ago I reckon, when I was a young teenager. Obviously a footy. This is a really mad Roby light. They bend up all the way around there, so you can turn the light on in 2 different aspects. It would be top and bottom, or just bottom or top. My Snap-on toolbox, as you can see here, this is the baby version of what I got at home. All my camping gear, more detailing stuff in there. You don't really need to see that. And I just have a chair there as well. So I've actually got something to sit on when I'm filming, but that is my shed. So it is not a lot of stuff in here, but you know, that's pretty much it. And a set of wheels as well. I've got an engine stand that one of my mates lent me as well. I just use an old Gulf Western bucket to put all my rubbish and stuff in, some old spotlights that I need to get rid of. And pretty much that's it. So like I said guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you right here in another episode of Tomo's Tune Ups.